In the 4 years that I've been doing game development, I've managed to amass quite the concrete story for Red. Now, despite Paper Red being the first game that I'm taking out of Dreams and into Unreal Engine, it wasn't originally the start of what was supposed to be the Red series. That honour goes to the Phantom Castle. Red's original storyline was supposed to be around 3 arcs: the Phantom Castle, the Cursed Isles, and then the Journey Home. Though this does actually work out, as Spirits Inc. is before all of that. It's a prequel to what would have been the original trilogy anyway. And in today's video, we're going to be going through the themes and characters that are going to be featured within Spirits Inc. And by the end of the video, hopefully you're as excited about Spirits Inc. as I am, because I am excited. Oh, and of course, there'll be no spoilers for the actual story. We're just going to be going through the story's themes and the characters that will be featured throughout, so you don't need to worry about spoilers or anything like that. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the characters that actually reside within the Red series, specifically the main cast. We've got Red, the protagonist, Froggo, his mentor, Finn, his oldest friend, Koi, his advisor friend, and then Solace, the Queen of Solaria, and the driving force behind everything that Red is. In the previous games, Froggo and Finn are heavily featured. Froggo is a main driving point for the Phantom Castle, and in the Cursed Isles, it's all 4 of them together. Solace, unfortunately due to story reasons, takes a back seat and is really the emotional driving force for Red rather than physically being there, and that's something that I just want to change for this game going forward. Between Solace and Koi, Solace is fine character depth wise, but Koi I've definitely always struggled with. For the longest time I've wondered, where does he fit in, who is he, even his voice. I've struggled with getting the correct voice and how I want him to sound. In fact, he's had like 3 different voice actors over the course of all the games that I've made so far. So for Spirits Inc., I wanted to tell the story of how Koi met Red in an attempt to help me find out more about the character myself. And I also wanted to take Red away from the group and closeness of his friends back home and make it that it's just Red and Koi meeting each other for the first time. And honestly, so far I've been going through writing the story for a while now, and it's going pretty well. Koi's development, both on paper and in my head, has been fantastic. Finn is often regarded as the fan favourite. People just love Finn so much. But I think after the Spirits Inc., Koi's definitely going to go up in the rankings. As for Solace, she is in all the games in some way or another, but she's taken a back seat in the first 2 games, the Phantom Castle and the Cursed Isles, and used as a driving point for Red. For the Spirits Inc., I really want to put her to the front, develop and show her nature alongside Red. Because to me, aside from Red, Solace is actually my favourite character. She's one of the most unique and complex characters that I've written within the Red series, and we're actually working on, well, who's we? Me. I'm working on a Solace deep dive video right now that'll show a lot more about her character, her backstory and all that cool stuff. But I want to dive in a wee bit into her kind of character just to give you a bit of a sneak peek. Now, Solace is born of royalty, but that doesn't mean she actually has it easy. In fact, her childhood is quite rough and without kind of nurture and care. Her mum passes away very early on into her life, and her father becomes kind of cruel and distant. She's essentially raised by Froggo and taught how to fight for herself, both physically and with magic. But she never loses that kindness, the essence that makes her who she is. She's extremely resilient to kind of self-pity in a way where a lot of people would let the burden of the world kind of weigh them down. She kind of tries to shrug it off and keep moving ahead, which is something that I personally also aspire to do. And through this lifestyle that she leads, this also helps her create the phrase that her and Red repeat back to each other when they encounter something difficult in their lives.
Now, what do we do when we fall down?
We dust ourselves off and get back in the fight.
Okay, so character-wise, Red, Koi and Solace are going to be the prominent focus of the story in Spirit Sync when it comes to our heroes. Next, let's talk about the themes that you're going to be experiencing within the game. Now, this story in essence is of two characters with different backgrounds coming together and learning and understanding each other's flaws and strengths. Personally, I'm a big fan of the buddy road trip movies and games when it features them, and I really wanted to give Red that sort of adventure that he's not really had before on a personal level. In the Phantom Castle, Red is alone, and at the start of the Cursed Isles he gets separated from his group very early on. So I really wanted to give Red and Koi that strangers become best friends sort of thing throughout the story. Red is actually a knight, and while being physically strong and quite capable, his entire life has been revolving around protecting a queen. Though he does have to attend school, his intelligence is average for someone about his age. Koi, on the other hand, has had very little combat experience so far and has dedicated his life to the pursuit of knowledge. He's a bit of a scholar in his town. And this conflict of two completely different backgrounds growing up shows in very small ways. One of my favourite ways actually comes out in the demo when Koi asks Red in the middle of their journey if they're going to be safe. See, from Red's backstory, he's a knight, so he's always had to protect and fight monsters wherever they've shown up. He's never given it a thought that the reason why monsters are attacking is for alternate reasons. This is literally just a dialogue moment that you can press L1 to have, or you could actually completely miss. But I love it because it shows that even though they're about the same age, they've both got such different world views. Red is so used to fighting and protecting that he doesn't not necessarily care, but understand that things might be fighting just to survive, while Koi, on the other hand, understands and kind of thinks, but he's unable to do the fighting part. On the other hand, you've got the villain, and his whole motivation is revenge, or at least misplaced revenge. He's punishing a group or people that have nothing to do or no control over the circumstances that he had to deal with, but he's taking out what happened on him on them. But the game does still dive in and try to understand how that sort of mindset, what it can do to you and how it changes you both physically and mentally. Paper Red and the Spirit Sync never really dulls down the message. Even though the world is cute and cuddly in this fun paper aesthetic, it never tries to treat you like a child. It kind of tells you what's going on, hoping that you understand and are curious enough that if you don't understand, you find out why. And lastly, I kind of want to discuss the influences that other games have had on the story. Now, of course, in a moment's notice, you'll see right away that Paper Red and the Spirit Sync is heavily inspired graphically from Paper Mario, Bug Fables, Born of Bread, that sort of style. But the story and the adventurousness of it is more in line with, say, Final Fantasy. Red's story in this particular game of a little fish in a big pond is really reminiscent of Wind Waker. I love the essence of this small character who's not used to challenging the world, being not necessarily wanting to go out but forced to go out because they think it's the right thing to do. The next idea for the fact that all the places you go to are very different, I mean, that's just RPG kind of logic 101, but if I had to give it a reference or an influence, it would probably be Kingdom Hearts. I love the fact that when you go to a different world, everything's different, everything feels new. You never feel like you're in the same place despite where you go in different worlds, and that's definitely something that I want to take when we start to travel to different islands within Paper Red. And finally, the group dynamic, the thing that I suggested before about the buddy road trip. The main characters are going to be Red, Solace and Coy, and they're going to be going from island to island on this big adventure together. Final Fantasy 15 is the ultimate group adventure game I've ever played. It's one of my favourite games just in general, but that definitely influenced how I want the feel of this game to be. I want the characters to talk to each other, to be interested in what each other's saying and feel alive as they're moving through it. And I want it to feel like they're truly on an adventure and having fun despite the high stakes situation that they're in. And with that, we've come to the end of the video. Did this video make you excited for Red and the Spirit Sync? Who knows? But if it has and you want to see more of Red, consider subscribing to the channel. This channel is my game development channel, but it is also the place where all Red's content goes. So if you like him as a character, or even the characters that are in his world that you've seen in previous videos, consider subscribing to the channel. And yeah, thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.